Welcome to the Patriot Hour. We got Woodman. What's up, Woodman? The Woodman. Oops, I don't have his volume on. Say it again, brother. What's going on?
Hey,
All
how we
right.
doing, everybody?
We're doing good. We got quite a few people in the room from all over. Paw Paw, Michigan,
Oh,
New
fantastic.
Mexico, South Texas. Give some shout outs here. Dan Daly, Kimberly Carpenter, Jeff Lynch, Hardesty, Sean, Robert Woodruff, Paul. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Just tons of people joining. Folks, we got a
Welcome,
good one.
welcome, welcome, welcome.
Yes, welcome. We got a good one to get into here tonight. We got several things we want to go over. Woodman's got some stuff he's actually wanting to bring and talk about. He's been looking into, and we'll go over that. I just wanted to say off my last video and a few things that we have determined today. Folks, it is just crazy. The executive order Trump put in to reorganize, just like we were talking about, the reduction in force basically was this last shutdown at 35 days, just a little bit of a test. We're supposed to have a really small government, despite what everyone thinks at this point. Well, the government's gotten too big. We got so many things to look at. Maybe not. It's just, how much do we want the government involved in our lives every day, at every corner? I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Woodman? I mean, just in your experience, I know we were both served our governments, him in a different era than me, but we could probably go that distance of 15 to 20 years that I got in from when you got out, and similar things, different. For one, we were discussing, I'll let you talk here, that, a lot of the interagencies that were created to look into things, and like in my era, towards the end, it was signs on basis, waste, fraud, and abuse. Call this 1-800 number anonymously, and you could report things that you saw, and then agencies were created to come and look into that, and not without you being a whistleblower or having your jeopardy of your
Well, yeah,
career.
you're exactly right, Mike. Once, once it, and I know this for a fact. I know it for a fact, firsthand, with my two eyes and my ears. Once an agency gets allocated money, it has to, in order for them to keep that money flow, there still has to be a problem. Now, if you eliminate the problem, then you eliminate your job, and they don't want to do that. Now, I have really seen this firsthand. This, and it does work uh, for them, not us, because see, back in my day, the government still had everybody snowballed, and that is quite true. Uh, we, but we had a different government. If you remember right, when I grew up, um, it was in JFK days, and he was really trying to turn the country around based on actual uh, foundations, not uh, uh, here. I'll print you this dollar is worth a dollar, or
Or nothing.
no. You have to. Everybody's money has to be based on something. Let's just say if you want to turn that money, paper money, into something like gold or silver, what we have now, you get a, hey man, like you have $50. You know what I mean? You don't get no gold or silver for that. You don't. There's no even trade for that kind of thing. It's
Yeah.
not based. It's not based on anything at all. It's money in the air. I don't know. Doggone it, man. I just wish they wouldn't have taken him out, because he that speech he made before he was assassinated sure spelled a lot of things, and I truly believe, and I really truly believe, and I'm just a little guy down here in Podunk, USA, but I truly believe when Donald Trump was younger, sure, he had a lot of things given to him, and he used to hang around with a guy named JFK Jr. Now, JFK Jr. was really upset about what happened to his father, and I'm sure he had a personal vendetta to no matter what happens, to ex- expose the truth and let people know what's going on. Not not um, not because they killed his father, but for the rest of the world. For the rest of the world. So I think he tag teamed with Donald a long time ago, since Donald Trump does come from a large money background. I think they actually, when they were younger, worked together and started talking about it, like
Yeah.
you and Ben talk about, Mike.
Well,
You
think
guys
about it.
know what
Think
I'm talking
about
about.
like you said, Woodman. Whether or not in my video that I did a month or so ago over the JFK, my involvement with being on the USS George Washington at the time, looking for his plane, whether or not he is alive, but I believe that story. It could have started out because every year at the anniversary of in November, you start getting all these videos that come out, conspiracy videos. You can call a lot of them throughout the years. Some that were based on good fact, people that have given up their personal lives to investigate the death of John F. Kennedy, the president. So why wouldn't your own son? And if you did get into that journey, what did you learn along the way? And did it just take you to the killers? And is that what you probably learned so much more? That was such a bigger picture at play that it spawned in the other to other things. How could
Well,
you stop
well,
it? Just your
the
father's
hardest
death.
the hardest thing was, this is such a very intense um, situation. Anything he done, he had to do. Um, I don't know. I know the average person doesn't understand this. When you want to try and do something super secret, sometimes you have to direct somebody's attention to a different direction so you can talk to that one person you want to talk to one on one. Um, uh, I don't know how to explain this. They had to have had a plan a long time ago, and I'll be honest with you, and I'm probably wrong or I'm probably right, but I think Junior's still alive, and I think he's helping our president. I hope so. I truly hope so. If not, our president learned enough, learned enough during those days with Junior, that
He
he
carried
was
on.
giving
Yeah.
he was given the correct path to go by, and that's why look, President Trump is not a politician. He's a businessman. So he knows the top 1%, and everybody knows that. So what better way of learning how to do it correctly than that? It keeps you out of the one world government that killed his father. That um, but you have to wake up people to understand that. You know,
Yes, I agree.
like I'm.
I think some of the stuff we'll find out after it's all said and done. Once we get people are starving for arrest. People are starving for justice.
Yeah, yeah,
When does that
yeah.
happen? Is it soon here with, I honestly think that we're in the very edge of this cliff here, Woodman, because
Well,
this
you
makes
already know
sense. The,
they've
the the
already.
whole wall. We're gonna get the wall, but it was never about the wall. It was
Yeah,
about reorganize. I mean, the wall is gonna come because we can't have our sovereignty without it. That's my bet. People are like, it won't work. Well, these other areas aren't working either. We're not looking to quit those areas. We do need more technology, but you can never have drones and laser sights to pinpoint people without the wall. We need that door.
well,
Everything else is an add-on to it. We want to do everything. The number one thing of government is to protect its citizens, to have the citizens to be able to govern. Without citizens, you can't govern. Without tax dollars that they've really raked in, that was my thing is folks in order. Me and Woodman were just, and I don't really want to show this on the live feed, but I'll pull it up. I will leave the link down below. It's just like a 5 or 6 minute video. Let me get us off here real quick. We can keep talking. Hold on. All right. So
listen to this.
to show you what's to get you where you are today at this meeting. I call this the Drain the Swamp Cabinet meeting. I know we talked about that during the campaign. You've talked about it since you've been. I know we talked about that during the campaign. You've talked about the Drain the Swamp Cabinet meeting. I know we talked about that during the campaign. You've talked about it since you've been here.
Now, this is a while ago.
Trading, but they're all doing the same thing, so why not put them in the same place? This goes back to the work that I think Ivanka did very early on job training, force training programs in their agency.
I think
they perform some absolutely critical functions, Mr. President. There's no doubt about it.
This is from last summer, folks. But yeah, here we go. U.S. Army Corps engineer.
Their role has continued to creep and creep and creep, and we can do better. So the proposal today, you'll see, makes some important changes to the Army Corps of Engineers. The thing that is stuff that is really defense, and there's still things that are.
Now, Woodman, with your expertise, tell us a little bit about the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
Well, the Army Corps of Engineers cannot operate or can't function without those three. That's what they do.
It's like the backbone to it, kind of the.
Well, okay, here we go. They're engineers. You look at certain highways, you'll see them, such and such a highway. Certain engineers. They do.
They're the ones that look at like the water barriers in like Louisiana and these low level states.
No.
I thought they came in and looked at those back when they failed.
These are like combat engineers that aren't in combat. They build stuff. They build roads. They build highways. They build bridges. You'll see them. Come on, Mike. US 6 is.
I know all about them. I'm just asking you. I'm just making it. I'm trying to make a good show here. I actually have a lot of personal times where I've actually met with the Army Corps of Engineers at my old house. They came out quite a few times to talk with me. Anyway,
I apologize, Mike. I'm sorry, Mike. Don't come over and beat me up. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine, brother. You're fine. I was trying to get you to break it down to the people. But, folks, whatever they're doing here, this reorganization, this photo here is telling you. So right here, look, you can see bloop, 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 bloop. So we got the Department of Defense, the Department of Interior, the Department of Transportation. With this whole reorganization, and we'll move on to another topic, but with this whole reorganization, Trump's executive order, it was, bottom line, to get rid of wasteful agencies. Everyone had to come up, every agency had to come up with what, Woodman, a little plan above it, written by the highest level. Because when you talk about cutting back, like when you say an agency's created, and if they fix the war on drugs, most of the body of that would go away. Now, it would maybe still be a DEA, but you'd only have the top 5 or 6 people that ran it sitting there still. And if it ever becomes a problem again, they start ramping up with body and start, having people on the streets and doing everything they've been doing for 80 years. That's just one example. The TSA, if the TSA goes away, they really don't. You'll still have a guy or two at the airport that oversee all the contract people that are doing it now, the private organization that can run the security like they do at, I guess, 8 or 9 airports still in this country today, San Francisco or something. They said, when you go to that airport, you just don't see any TSA. It's a private organization that runs it. The people can be fired easier when they don't show up to work for their job, things like that.
It's contract labor, and I think it's more than 8 or 9, but I've seen part of that.
Yeah, you're right. It might have been.
Look here, check this out, people. Okay, they say they're governed by the TSA, but here it still boils down to the same point. The TSA is not there. These people are contracted in, and they're there every day. Correct, Mike?
Yes.
They're there every day.
And if they're not, they can get fired really quickly and easier than a government employee.
It's hard to fire a government employee. Well, a federal employee. It's hard to fire a federal employee.
Yes.
Put it that way.
It's exactly.
That's quite true.
So there you go, folks. I mean, it's just a matter of this is Trump's promise to slim out, fix the government. Like Woodman said, people, The minute a new agency is created, the minute they get that pipeline from tax dollars flowing in, you get a budget for that very first year, and you want to use every dollar in that budget, almost to a wasteful point. I've seen it. I've been in government offices right next to GS employees, and then in that way, at the end of the year, they could put in their paperwork, how much did you use out of the money you were given? All of it. How much did you save? $0. Now that next year, you're going to ask for a little bit more. If you don't, you lose it.
Because you start a new program. Here,
Yes.
see what you do is, this is what you do. The first year, they initialize it. And then what they find out that first year is like, oh, wow, we need to expand, and we've learned so much now, we need to expand out like fingers, and so the more and more and more, and it just escalates. These people love their money,
It's a use it or lose it type thing. Remember with our leave time in the service, like you get 30 days a year, use it or lose. You could maybe save up a little bit, but then you'd lose it at a certain point. So who in the hell wouldn't take some time off? But when it comes to the money, it's a little.
They would pay you for it. Like if I wasn't in country at the time, when that time came, it'd be on your check.
You're right, actually.
And by the way, check it out. You know what hazardous duty pay was back in my day? Hazardous
I got
duty.
$450.
Hazardous duty pay, man. Jumping out of airplanes, doing all kinds of crap. $85 a month.
But now back then, that was a lot.
Oh, look, we're not talking about.
Because then people talk about that like I don't know, something a couple months ago, maybe a year ago, something came across the Facebook or Twitter feed, and it was like an old price guide from the 1930s, and then people were commenting like, "Oh, I wish I lived back then," but in their head they're thinking about the money in their pocket right now, and it's like, well, if you lived back then and worked back then, those prices were adjusted to what you made. I mean, some people, you make 30 a week. And then when sugar's a nickel for a pound and all that stuff.
Back then, in all honesty, you might make $1.50 to $2 a week and have a family.
Yeah, there you go.
This is true. I can't say I was there, but my grandparents talked a lot about it. So
everyone knows that. And now at this point, the way we were going, it's like everyone would be millionaires at one point. I've been to these countries, and I'm not saying every other country's followed it, but I've changed in. I don't know where I was at, but this one place, it was like I went to buy a beer at a bar, and they're like 6 million, and I was like, "Whoa!" This sounded weird. But I looked down at the funny money I had, and I'm like, "Okay, I got a 5 million and a dollar, 1 million." So I put it together, and I hand them a $5 and a $1. It was like a $5 for us and a $1. I was assuming. I was like, whoa, I just paid 6 million for a beer. So
yeah.
So anyway, you guys saw that little chunk. For those of you who remember the Red Castle to Green Castle, that's just a reorganization, that slim down. If there's redundancy agency, now what does that mean, Woodman? Like just what would be the point of having a lot of the same kind of almost? I mean, and I'm not trying to blame American workers that have gotten into the federal system, but a game starts getting played once you get in there, folks. And it's just a complicit of, wow, this is cake work. And the less you can do sometimes for the amount of money is just the going way, wasteful. And, but anyway, if you have the same types of agencies all over the board, can't you merge them or something? Do you really need a bunch of excess people doing the same thing?
Hey, wake up, people. Look here. When I was a youngster, the man went to work and not the woman. The woman stayed home, which was a big job in itself, actually. And when I got to be in high school, my mom had to work. Society has screwed everything up enough to where they put us so far into their little program that we don't have time to think for ourselves. Mike and I have talked about this before too. I know I'm getting a little sidetracked here, but doggone it, I got to say it.
Go ahead.
And with the government and I'll say it, Democrats, what they were doing in the first place about this shutting the government down with a wall thing, and this is really a big topic now because everything stems from that, no matter what the subject is. They're always saying that Trump shut the government down. I'm here to tell you it wasn't President Trump. It was the Democrats. If you know, if you're so headstrong about we don't need a wall, there was, I seen a show, and there were two border patrol agents' wives on this show, and they were both asking Pelosi to come down and spend a little time with them in their backyard.
That was nice of them.
One of them, I couldn't get both their names, and I apologize. One of them was Renee Perez, and listen, I'm telling you what, folks, this is not a joke. This is the Democrats are trying to throw stuff on the side. There's a lot of things that have to be done in our government. I understand that. What we have now are the tools to kind of lean them out a little bit, which we don't need. And what we keep will be useful, not idle, money-sucking pits. When President Trump said, drain the swamp, he meant it. And
think about it. Well, do we... I like that executive order. I guess I'll pull it up, folks. I'll tell you what. It says... Well, here.
He was pretty smart doing that. You know, when everybody looked at that executive order in the beginning, well, no, it wasn't public, was it? There was a couple of them that weren't public that they wanted to have them signed, correct?
All the executive orders, I think, go public. They're nothing hidden. I'm not sure, though. Maybe you're right, though. I mean, I don't know.
I think they stay in the government structure. They don't go public. You know what I mean? They stay in the government umbrella.
What was that now? Say it again. I'm sorry. I think I heard something else.
These executive orders, not every one of them is public. Sometimes they stay in the government umbrella, and I think that's where those were. I don't believe they were released to the public. And I apologize for being kind of hard to listen to because I'm getting.
You're just getting over your sickness.
Yeah, I'm getting well.
Let's give a couple shots out. Pray for Woodman to get a little bit better here sooner so we can have him. He missed on Sunday's show. I don't even know if I mentioned it. She told me when I called him, he was like, just make sure you let them know I wanted to be, but I can't. And I don't even know if I ever said that, folks, because I'm like, yes, I will. I can never remember. I just get right into it. But we're saying it now. He's here now. He's doing a lot better.
I don't
folks,
like missing the show.
People
I like Mike and Ben are really technical. I consider myself to be a low baller or more like the layman guy. So I enjoy being on the show to spend my time and some of the words I use and whatever kind of different than everybody else, but I get the point across.
Lots of people saying prayers for Woodman. Too many we got about 1,200 in the room or something, Woodman. So
good.
Doing good. I'm going to show you guys this. We'll go over a little bit. We don't need to. Let me see. Okay, right here. Make sure your audio's. I got to get that off. There we go. All right. Can you still hear Woodman?
I can hear you.
All right.
And I can see the page. Just don't make me read it. It's kind of hard for me to talk anyway.
You're fine. I'm not trying to go too fast here, folks. Within 180 days, it's to reorganize, all right? Reorganize. A proposed plan shall include, as appropriate, recommendations to eliminate unnecessary agencies, components of agencies, and agency programs, and merge functions. The proposed plan shall include recommendation for any legislation or administrative measures necessary to achieve the proposed reorganization. I wanted to see now whether some or all of the functions of an agency, a component, or program are appropriate for the federal government or would be better left to state or local. So they're talking about getting it out of the federal and taking it back, or just thirdly to the private sector. Could it be more beneficial to make some of these things to the private through the free enterprise? Whether some or all of the functions of an agency, a component, or program are redundant, including of those of another agency, component, or program. So whether certain administrative capability is necessary for operating an agency, the cost of shutting down or merging agencies. So right here is what I like. In developing these proposed plans described in the subsection of this section, the director shall consult with the head of each agency, consistent with applicable law, with persons or entities outside the federal government with relevant enterprise. I'm trying to look here. Oh, I had your mic off, Woodman. Okay. Hold on. You're good now.
You got to go up to that last paragraph.
I got to look at this better. I went
The
way
last
far.
paragraph.
The last one?
Okay.
We're at
Yeah.
right here. This order?
Yeah, I want to see that one.
I'll read it. This order is not intended to and does not create any right or benefit, substantive or procedural, enforceable at the law or in equity by any party against the United States, its departments, agencies, or entities, its officers, employees, or agents, or any other person. This was, again, this is, let me see here. The one I read earlier, the actual executive order. This is, let me see.
Well, I can't believe that he got away with doing that. But I think he got away with doing it because they thought he was too stupid to run the office. You know what I mean? Because he covers a lot of stuff early.
Wow, I never did that. Paste. All right, here we go. All right, this is where I was at earlier. I had this one, must have closed it. This is the exact, so Executive Order 13781, March 13th. Kind of goes into what that was there. Proposed to improve the efficiency, effectiveness, and accountability of federal agencies, including a federal 180. The cost of shutting down and developing. The one I
Go
read.
back. Whoa, stop. Whoa. Go back a little bit. Toward the bottom, it said about the staff. Oh, stop right there. Probably go whether certain administrative operating agency component. The cost of continuing to operate an agency or component or a program are justified by the public means. Did you see that?
If it's better to use for the public.
Here, just what the heck? Where was I at there?
I'm not sure, Woodman.
No, keep going. See, wait.
I was down there when you read it, so I don't even see where you came up with words that you came up with.
Oh, above where you're evidently you're strolling.
General provisions, nothing in this order shall be construed to impair or otherwise affect the authority granted by law to an executive department or agency or the head thereof, the functions of the director relating to the budgetary, administrative, or legislative. The order shall be implemented consistent with applicable law and subject to availability of appropriations. That's the end of it. I just read that one. I don't know. Earlier, I read one. It talked about taking in the public's opinion a lot, and I don't know where I saw that at. I don't know where I saw that at.
Just keep going, because that's
I
what I
don't
was
think it's
talking
in.
about.
I don't think it's in here.
It is. I seen it. I seen it. Keep going. Keep going. Slow down. There we go. Right here.
Where?
Wait a minute. Program with public benefits private.
Speak louder.
I'm reading. God, you guys are better than I am. Yeah, man. Whether or
All right, I'm just going to put us back on here. I'll look on my own
I'm
because we're
sorry.
not going
I'm
to sit
sorry.
there and
I know.
do that. Hold on.
I apologize.
You're all right, brother.
Yeah, I wish it was. I'll blame it on my sinus problems. I'm not thinking properly.
So
I can
the
come up with a
proposal
doctor's
plan.
note.
Go ahead and entertain them for a minute. Talk about something, brother.
Hey, I've come across
What else
something the
you
other
have?
day. I come across something the other day. We were talking about socialism and how it's so much in our colleges now. And this one gentleman, if I understood him correctly, was saying that it actually kind of started like around the 1920s when there were a handful of professors in colleges that believed in socialism. Uh, right now, according to what I understood from these people, 40% of the professors now are spreading a socialist ideas to students. This is one thing I had to get rid of. Another thing I want to talk about is what about this ADT thing? How many people are on ADT? Is that one way of what they call them, the black hats? Because they have white hats and black hats, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, is that one way the black hats keep track of everybody? They gotta keep track of everybody somehow. And this is like one way of staying on track with everybody. That's like what's it called? Alexa, do this, do that. That's 24/7 on, people. Hearing all your conversations, recording all your conversations. I don't care who you are. If you got one of those things, you're on all the time. Let's see, what else I want to talk about. This is probably old news. Anybody seen this guy, Andrew Cohen?
Who's that?
I can't remember what channel he was on, but boy, I'll tell you what, he was.
Oh, there you go. There it is, Woodman.
was-
You were right. It's section 2B. So here, let me show this.
All right.
Section 2B, then we'll get back to that. All right. So right here, section 2B, the director shall publish a notice in the Federal Registry after inviting the public to suggest improvements in the organization and functioning of the executive branch, and shall consider the suggestions when formulating the proposed plan described in the subsection of this section.
Quite.
There it is.
Yep. The public, not
That's us.
not some 5,000 guys in government. No, the people. That's for sure.
All right,
Yeah.
so back to where you were, Andrew Cohen.
Yeah, I apologize. I don't write down very good,
Ooh,
but he was like.
thanks
he
for
was
the.
like-
Sorry, we had a super chat. Somebody hit a super chat in. So, Prepper X, thank you. Keep up the great work. He says, hope Woodman gets better soon. He said.
All right, thank you. Yeah, this guy Cohen, man, he just backed everybody against Trump. He was. I noticed he would come on a subject, and he would get it to a certain point where he would like make President Trump look bad, and he would change to a different point.
Is this
He
his
wouldn't
lawyer,
cover.
Cohen? His lawyer that was the lawyer, or
No, this is some no Cohen, like Coan. Um, I couldn't believe it, man. Because Mike, you and Ben and I, we've been doing this for a little while, and of course Scott also. And uh, uh, gee whiz, what this guy is talking about is, uh, let's just say you were in an old folks' home and you weren't listening to the news. What this guy was standing up for would make sense, you know. Uh,
yeah,
Holy cow! Um, Everybody, I can't say everybody. A lot of these names that have been, Mike, this is to be true. We're on this uh, list of people being prosecuted. You know, he thinks that's fake. Uh, have you met this guy, Mike, or ever heard of him?
never heard of him. I've
Okay,
never
I'm
heard
gonna
of him.
pull that one off too. Uh, yeah, man. I wish I could remember that one other Border Patrol
Nancy Pelosi, they
person's wife.
invited her. They
Yeah,
invited
they did.
Nancy Pelosi down to the border to take a
They were
tour.
this was on the news. This was on the news. They had both of them on the news. Yeah, and it was on the good news. And like I say, I can't write very fast, but one of them was Renee Perez. She was the last one to speak. That's why I got her name. But the other one, I apologize, young lady. I am so sorry. Uh, I really, truly apologize because you made a lot of good points, and people need to hear what you said. And dig into it, people. Be like Mike and Ben and I, and look and see. Well, we're finding out the truth. We're not, you know, gee whiz, the black hats control 99.9% of the media. They can't control my lips, and they can't control Mike's, and they can't control Ben's, and they can't control yours either. So, is that enough to take up enough time?
Oh yeah,
I got
we're
more to
good.
talk about.
We're
I got
good.
more to talk about.
You can
Okay.
keep going. I don't think I really. I just had that whole reorganization thing that's been stuck on my mind. I got a video out, we talked about it a little bit. So what else? Nancy Pelosi. I think that I was looking up this Andrew Cohen over here. I'm coming up with a professor. Was he a professor at Rogers College of Law?
Something like that. Yeah. He wrote a book that this guy's a wacko kind of sort of.
Prosecuting the
Hey,
president. That book.
yeah. Yeah. You
Gotcha.
know, it's I'm sorry people. You know what? He's an intelligent individual. Everybody's allowed to have their own opinion. So I can't say anything against him. He's just not like what I would want to be considered to be a professor. Not in my opinion. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Oh, you're all right.
By the way, I went to Rose Hallman, so I'm not an idiot. I would like to say that I was really impressed with the way President Trump done his speech in the Rose Garden the other day. At about 14, 16 hours, he was referring to opening up the government. And if you listen to what he was saying is he was going to go ahead and do it this way, he could have done it another way. People, he meant that. And you want to give a little insight on that, Mike? Oh, before you do, let me say this much. There's been a new percentage on the wall security. If we have a wall, now the percentage has increased to 91.9% security. That's been increased.
Well,
Sorry
they've
to cut
been
you off.
building the wall. We're finding out, like since Trump put that executive order in, They've already built a
Yeah.
couple 100 miles of it. They're building it. They're redoing it in areas. They're building up. So this is, again, just a lot of letting them show. I think another cool thing would be here shortly in the next few weeks. We've already been dealing with it for 2 years. Is if they have grabbed these little people around Trump and got them on process crimes, bull crap process crimes. Which, what does that mean, folks? A lot of people out there might not know. A process crime is if I'm coming after you for a murder or trying to investigate you, and in the process of me trying to find all the things I can find on you, you're not cooperating, you're trying to hide evidence, you're destroying things when that is, I can get you on destroying evidence, trying to obstruct our investigation. Those are process crimes that get added on to after they typically find you of guilty of the murder. Or if you never did do it, you could still get hit up on those process crimes of not helping them, not being very compliant, and trying to break laws actually to hinder their research or investigation. Anyway,
Right. It's in the middle. It's a process.
yeah,
It's
you
a
don't ever
process.
go after somebody just to get process crimes. I mean, you could, I guess, but your intention would be the main focus. The reason you're coming and
Right.
bothering these people. That's what it was with the Trump thing, the Russia collusion, all these people, Roger Stone, they're not finding any of that stuff. But since they went through their life with a fine-tooth comb, they have,
Oh boy.
and sometimes found other things. But for Roger, he's probably being Roger, a little cocky, whatever. What I'm saying is, if the left is happy about this, and you can argue, like, well, I thought they were going after Russia collusion, and a lot of times they don't. It don't matter. I mean, look, he's got a felony now, or whatever it is. They're going to court. They're going to be put away in jail for a few years. I'm happy. So if it does come out of all these other people, the people that they like, the people that they now all of a sudden are they going to be able to scream that Mueller was in the pocket of Trump, because that's what they're in the past. That's never worked. Like, well, those are puppets, leftovers from the Obama administration, and that's why Hillary didn't. They say that Hillary had a fair thing. They didn't find any crime on her, but those same people that ran those investigations were finding out were doing really crazy things, and they're now all fired, let go, removed from power. But those are the same ones that found her not guilty on anything. But now they're finding all these things on people close to Trump. These same pundits are jumping up and down. Even your neighbors, if they're for the left, they really stick to the left-right game like it's a team. I'm for the left. That's my Bears. Whether they do bad or do good or cheat or break somebody's leg, as long as they win, man. It's almost how the mentality gets, and that's why I don't partake in that. A lot of people are like, you're a Republican, most like. No, I'm a constitutionalist, and I see somebody trying to follow that, I'm going to stick by them, whether that was on the left or right. You're never really going to see it on the left, I don't think. Very little bit on the right. We got to remember, when Trump came in, he wasn't welcomed by half of his own party now, was he, Woodman? Or any of the left. Half of his own party, none of D.C., none of Wall Street, none of nobody, no corporations. Everybody's against this guy. He wants to build walls. He wants to.
You don't care. You don't care. Look at
Yeah.
him, man. Like I said before, and I'll say it again, I'll say it forever. Our president, Donald Trump, God bless him, he is not a politician. People, that means a lot. That means he doesn't have people in his back pocket. He doesn't have to, like, oh, I'll do this for so much or whatever. Is the one that's saying, he's the one saying, look, dude, we're done with that game. You're screwing up America. If he doesn't do it, America will go down the drain, and he knows that. So he's a businessman. He's made money with overseas stuff, just like anybody else has in his lifetime, in his classification. But he's man enough to admit it. He said it. I know these people is exactly what he said.
I used to roll with them.
I used to be one, I think he said.
Yes, I'm a former
But he
insider.
knows. And now look, and so he's tired of it. He already knows if he can't get America back on track, we're going to lose everything to every other country there is, and then we will be sucked in one world order. And God bless him for being that way. And here's the thing, he couldn't have pulled it off if he was a politician, because too many people know each other in that realm. He came in. Now listen, he wasn't stupid. Believe me, he already had generals to back him. Um, he had like I'll call them cabinet members or whatever you want to call it, all backing him, going to the right thing to, we call them white hats, to get rid of the black hats.
Yes.
He had to be structured before he even ran for president, you know. And when the Democrats didn't think he was all structured all that good, because he
Well,
isn't a politician.
yeah, that's
So
right. He's not polished.
when they let him go ahead and, what the heck, let him be president. He don't know nothing. All of a sudden, wham, he's been doing this stuff in front of their face, and they were too stupid to catch on, such as these executive orders the EO's has been doing. Um, Very highly intelligent, very properly planned, and let people along the way hang themselves. Even though they wanted to try and hang him, he pretty much knew what was going on, so he let it happen and let it be recorded or whatever, and it ended up being in such a manner where it was against them, not him. Uh, Folks, the truth is always the best way to go. The truth, not
That's
what
it.
they tell you. The truth, and you know that comes from a lot of different sources. So please, people, go out and look around and see. Oh, by the way, I trimmed my beard. See,
Yes.
it's short now. So
Nice. There you go, folks.
there. Yeah.
Folks, that's exactly what he's been screaming. Most that have looked into the New World Order, the one money, the one religion, that's the end game. They're doing it systematically to other countries. Other countries are a lot weaker. The people were already really succumbed to their government's order. The government fed them. The government can take the food away. They can starve them. They can bring them to their knees. We were one that have our First Amendment, Second Amendments. We've fought. We have this history that was a little tougher for them to get involved in, but they did it. They did it in 1871. They did it again in 1913 with the implementation of the Fed Reserve, the IRS, all that stuff is supposed to be going away. Trump has called out the Fed time and time again. He wants to give it back to he's done these tariffs, all right? How is this government supposed to operate? This is an interesting garage talk me and Ben were having the other day, and I'll bring this up. This will probably be the last thing. We'll go into a couple conversations or shout outs, and then we'll close this down. But think about this. Trump has set up tariffs again. That money is directly coming in and going to our treasury, not to the Fed. Now, I read an article. I couldn't find a good article to show anybody because they all are against it. Again, that's how you know it's good. When the mainstream's all against it, it's great. They're using this isn't even a drop in the bucket. So for 2017, when Trump first started getting them, and then in all of 18, they were saying, out of the total way that the Treasury brings in money, which is robbing everybody for slave wages, we're all slaves to the wage game and to the tax. Because if you don't know, folks, look at your own self. You work 4 months out of the entire year to pay the government. All right, 4 months of your wages, close to, go right into the Fed. All right, so you got to work 4 months. That's why you ever heard the term like, well, about April 1st, oh, now I'm working for myself. Because from the beginning of the year to April 1st or something, that's what it took to pay the government. April 1st for the rest of the year, even though the money's not taken all at once, you pay it throughout the year. That's just a way to look at it, all right? It's not right. It's not supposed to be.
Well, I don't know. Canada, they say Canada, you work one day a week for that is for their government, but in Canada, don't they have free medical? I mean,
yeah, they got all these social programs.
Their government works for them.
Well, and that's the whole thing. Look, if we had a really small government and we wanted these certain programs that could benefit, that's something to look at. they've taken all this, and if we look at how we give back to our schools or the kids, the programs that matter,
Exactly.
we don't do that. We're giving it all to foreign
Exactly.
countries. We're putting it into black ops projects. We get that,
Yes,
folks.
indeed.
What these articles were showing that Trump starting to do tariffs again, the way that they showed that was a drop. All these articles, CNN, all the mainstream, they were saying, I was finding articles from 2 years ago, and they were saying that this only makes up 0.02 of what we take in. So they're showing, like, out of the ways that they rob all of us for our wages and taxes, that this tariff thing was only a fraction of, but it's positive. It was money that without Trump doing that, we didn't have, it was at zero. There was nothing coming in like that. He's done it. Even though it's billions of dollars, by the way, it's billions that's coming in.
They also said it would ruin the whole thing. It would collapse.
Well,
Those
their
people
guys
are the same ones say that.
they were saying that these
You
countries
can't go through this.
that don't pay equal, they're not going to like this. Well, of course they don't going to like
Right.
it. It's like, Woodman, when I come and buy something from you, however it works, however they want to do that, it's like, it's not fair. That's not fair. Everyone knows what's not fair. So
Right.
you can't really argue like, that's not fair anymore. We're getting
But
it
they-
this way. We know what
They
you're
tr-
getting.
they try. Yeah, they try. They try.
That's come at our cost, is what it is. Well, you guys work good enough. So the whole idea of the harder you work, the more you're going to pay, the less. No, that's got to go away. If you do the good and hard work, you should be rewarded. All right, folks, we don't need to get into all that, but they were pitching it as it's a bad idea. Because no, I mean, in all honesty, 99% of the way our government's supposed to operate is off of tariffs. That was the whole original idea. We're all supposed to be kings and queens and live like that here. Not pay. Do kings pay taxes? No, they pay tariffs to other countries when you want to do some business. So that king over there to this king, you do that, and you got some tariffs. That's how they make that. But as far as in your own country, you shouldn't have to. The government should operate off the tariffs. And people are like, well, wow, that's not a lot of money to operate off of. Well, if we did really good business, we'd have a lot of
don't
money
need
from
that much
tariffs.
You wouldn't need that much government.
You wouldn't need to tax your own people to the high gills.
Well, you wouldn't need that much government. You wouldn't.
it's-
Therefore,
yes.
you wouldn't need that much money, like you said.
But to keep us in these chains and to keep us confused and to keep us down, they have done everything they have done. That's where we're at. That's where we live in. This is the real world. What we're talking about was an idea. Is Trump trying to bring that idea back? Is he putting a fork into their well-oiled machine? Are people, and if you looked into this enough over all the years, Woodman, myself, people on this channel, people around, people that have other channels, I watch them and they just, without looking too much, because they've been wrapped up in the New World Order story, they're missing what is happening right now, possibly. An outsider that we needed. He's not an outsider. He's got a lot of money. It's a rare breed to be the billionaire that he is and to be involved on our side. You're right. That's a 1 in a million person. I think we got him. I don't know. All it takes is somebody to wake up one day and maybe have the hand of God and just to realize, 10 years ago, he was cutting deals with them same people that Hillary was. And that's how he made all his, he's known it the whole time. He's made every time he did a deal, I'm sure he was like, that's what they got written up there. Because he wasn't up here doing it, but he knew his constituents, his partners, his insider buddies were, and that's how it worked. And he definitely made money off that system. But what do you do?
Exactly.
And what do you do? Now
Exactly.
he's trying to change it to not be that way. Oh, after he made all his. You can look at it that way. I don't know. He made all his, now he
Well-
wants to cut it off. I don't know.
No, he's trying to cut off. He's trying to cut off world order. That's what he's trying
Yes,
to cut off.
that's right. That's
if he,
right.
If he doesn't achieve this right here, we're just, you might as well bend over and
Yeah.
kiss your ass goodbye, because the guy behind President Trump, and I can't just call him Donald Trump, I gotta call him President Trump. That's his title. He is our president. Look, we haven't had a president that had kahunas for a long time. He doesn't need their money. He needs if he can't straighten out America, it's going to go to one world order, and we'll lose everything. There's no such thing as an American anymore. He if he is allowed to do what he's trying to do, he will save America. We will we do not want to be part of that one world order. Period. And I really think President Trump is our last hope because he's not a politician. He's not involved in that.
And since we're a big wig in the the, the world system, by us being fixed, it's going to unhinge a lot of strings to these other countries, which will naturally fix them too. So our worldly people that are watching tonight from across the pond, what do you think the future looks like for them if we're fixed? A lot of that,
Well, France is doing that. Look here, check it out, Mike.
You cut off the head of a snake, right? If you cut off the head of a snake, what you know?
Yeah. You seen that picture? That picture I sent you, Mike, about that was a little skull head. It had like a little brass cup on top to put out your cigarette. And I flipped it over because I've had it forever. I flipped it over and it had the EU and China behind it.
Yes, yes. It said
That
EU
means-
made in China. That's what it said. EU made in China, and that took us
Yeah,
back.
you-
That's the huge. They're the number one with each
Yeah.
other, and like you said, this is
But see-
probably a 15 to 20-year-old item. Well, that whole merger started in I think 2005, 2006. Really got to a good peak in 08, 9, 10, 11. But look, it's 2019. So 2019, 10 years ago is 2009.
Right.
So that, yeah.
But anyway,
I mean,
now, check us out. Now look at France. What France is still doing. The media is trying to say it's over gasoline prices, man. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
You just wouldn't. They don't want their president. People, they don't want their president. Tell them why, Mike. Tell them
well,
why they don't want their president.
I don't know. Didn't they say he didn't get elected in properly or something? Well, I don't know what happened with that guy.
Well, I don't know about that, but I know he was going down the wrong road.
Well, yeah, he was taking them down the. Well, look where they're at, folks. I've watched documentaries on a couple years back. People hitting up over there and getting the money exchange, getting a backpack full of money. They have played their central bank system. That's in the final stages of what the New World Order would want. It's like they got some countries that have been in it long enough. Other ones are trying to get in, but you can see real time what is the end result in some of these countries. Total chaos, food shortages, money's inflated to the amount of you're handing over just stacks of backpacks full of money for a gallon of milk if you can find it. So I mean, I can't imagine why they'd want him or how that really works. I don't know what were posed some sanctions as of last night. I don't know if those went in today.
I'm glad we have President Trump on our side. I guarantee you that.
I mean, this is all we can hope is for a little bit of peace for some time. I mean, that's about the best we got, folks. Will the evil come back knocking? Oh, you can guarantee it.
You know it.
That's how it works. And we'll be here to expose them all along the way. So I hope you join us on our journey. Right, Woodman?
Yep. We'll be here, by golly. We're not. Nobody is 100% accurate, but we sure try real hard, and we still insist that don't take our word for it. Search and find out yourself. You'd be really amazed at really how much the average citizen has no clue of what's going on with our government in our United States of America. That's quite true.
All right, you got any final words, closeout words for the people here, Woodman? I'll give you
Yes, I do.
All
Yes, I
right.
do. And I want to make sure everybody out there understands every word I've got to say. Um, I know I'm talking to Christians and atheists both, but this statement will still make sense to everybody. Um, let's all be ready for our one world government ruled by our Lord Jesus Christ. For these days are going to be tremendous. Airborne.
Yes, brother. All right. Well, there you have it, folks. We're gonna shut this down. We will be back on another night. I just wanted to. Woodman's back. He's feeling strong. We appreciate all the prayers sent to him. You guys are the greatest group of patriots I've ever did know, other than Woodman and Ben and Scott and all them guys personally. But you guys, this has been I'm humbled. Woodman, see you soon, brother. We'll do another one, possibly tomorrow, if time permits, if schedules are right and everyone's feeling good. We got cold weather moving in here in the Midwest area. Right? Some deep cold weather. So we'll definitely be
Well,
hunkered down.
probably with a wind chill factor of 45 degrees below zero. So yeah, um, I don't suggest anybody going outside. I do know when I was in Alaska for a little training up there,
No
it
cold weather,
was
little cold weather
what?
training, huh?
Yeah, but you wouldn't. Um, you would you would freeze before you knew it. Um, Around here are there's more humidity, but I'm gonna tell you what, frostbite is nothing to fool around with. That stuff can happen within 3 to 5 minutes, to where you might lose part of a finger or an ear tip, or earlobe. Maybe the tip of your nose might get cut off or whatever, because frostbite is killing your body. That's too cold. Can't survive. Please, everybody, watch out for your neighbor, elderlies, anybody in need. If you know who they are, if you can't help them out, call somebody that can. Uh, we're still Americans. Take care of each other. A lot of these people are old like I am, and we need help. So if you know somebody like that, help them out. Um,
Check up
all
on
you're gonna
them.
do, yeah, all you're gonna do is save their life. Uh, Holy cow, what's that worth? What's your life worth? What if you needed some help? God bless everybody, and know your neighbor.
All right. There you go. We had Woodman in, folks. That was awesome. And he's right. Check on, and these, if you're in the Midwest area, any of these areas where you're getting extreme colds and stuff, just check on your neighbor, maybe loved ones you haven't talked to in years. Folks, we are hitting a point where it's going to be moving right along here. I don't think it was ever about the wall. It was about exposing. I think these last 2 years, with everybody that's been on the record, we've had people go around to all the different talk shows, all the different actual congressional hearings, whether or not they were swore in, not sworn in. They went in front of Congress. They went in front of different committees, and they had to say things into a microphone, and people got to hear that. So whether or not, things will come out all different here real quick and real rampant, it'll be shown. It is the number one job. These people that take the oath, they sit in front of us, they talk on TV. They took an oath for our country, our Constitution, the American people. Nothing more, nothing less. A lot of it has been really, really treasonous, right out in the open. That can't go on. That can't go on. I'm not going to allow it. Woodman wouldn't allow it. We're going to say not on our watch. All right. That's how we like to say it. Not on our watch. Not any day of the week. Enough is enough. And We're gonna have some cleaning out to do for sure. It's gonna be the people's way. All right. Now we are divided. There's lots of different. Some people have been taken in. It's gonna be a little bit worse for them by the mainstream, the lies, the like they were saying. Why has Trump that whole 35 days of shutdown? For months, I was behind the scenes of this show. Even I didn't really, I was like, why isn't Trump calling out? I think a few times on the live shows with Scott or Ben. Why isn't he calling out the human trafficking? Why isn't he calling out the drugs? It's all about the hungry man or woman that's crossing, and that's all everyone has in their head. That's all the media talks about. Trump for 35 days pounded in human trafficking, drugs, the deaths. All right? You hardly heard anything just about the poor person wanting to eat, because that's all we've heard about. Why did he do that for 35 days? It's kind of like how the mainstream does it with the bull crap and the smothering and the keeping, it's a game. Trump did it to bring truth. And if you hear it enough, it's gonna sink in a little bit. It's gonna get you to start thinking. And that's exactly what has to happen. Anything else is going to be shock and awe. All right. As much as you guys are in tune, as much as I'm in tune, not everybody is. You got to remember those people. Got to remember those people. You got to pray for those people. All right. All right. I'm Mike. This is a Patriot Hour. God bless. Godspeed each and every one of you. And we'll see you back here real soon on the next Patriot Hour update. God bless.